Dude, such a great crowd, man.
Yeah, sounds really good.
It's so warm in here.
It is.
It is.
Wonderful.
It's nice.
I was gonna wear like my long sleeves. I was like, you know what? I'll be in the hot lights. I'll just wear the usual.
This is wonderful.
Okay, wait, real quick. Every panel, I start this way. Can I get a hi yeah? Hi yeah? Nice. Thank you.
Why do you start every panel that way?
It's just to get them hyped up.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
So let's do this way. This is always a fun one. For each of you, what do you think makes the magic of this particular series? What do you think is the appeal of Boku no Hero Academia?
What? Oh, we're the Japanese actors. Oh, Boku no Hero. Gotcha. Oh, okay. No, I mean, we've been doing this now for what, 8 years almost? 8 years next year. Final season coming up. Very bittersweet. I think it's the ability to. Oh my God, what's it called? Where you can relate to these characters. Yeah, empathize, relate. Everyone finds some either in totality or some part of these characters, and they can put themselves in it and really relate to them. And I think that's part of the fun.
I think there's always a cool message about heroism and what being a hero is, and there's something really inspiring about that. A lot of the characters are sort of just people who happen to have powers and who are learning about the responsibilities that come with that, and so they go through sort of real people's struggles, and I think that really makes them very endearing to everyone, and is also inspiring to watch characters grow over the course of a show. So I think that's part of it too.
I agree with all of that, and I'll just add that I think one of the great strengths of a show like Star Wars is the world of the show. And I feel like My Hero is a very different show from Star Wars, but it does such a good job of creating a very cool world that you want to spend time in. Even if you're not necessarily with the heroes, even if you're just with, Deku's mom for a little while or whatever. It's a beautiful world to spend time in and just see what would this be like if there was a world with all these people with quirks. It's just kind of fascinating, and it just pulls you in because of that.
Well, All for One, Vader, All for One and Darth Vader. There you go.
Yeah.
Very similar. Very similar.
Yeah, there's not a ton more that I can add to that. I mean, the one thing because all of those things are the part of the reason. I think one of the other things I can say, and Kyle kind of alluded to this, but just the way the characters are so richly drawn. That even characters that are, aren't as around as much or don't have as much screen time, they're very three-dimensional. There's such humanity in them and heart in them, and My Hero also does a good job of presenting the gray area of life. Really, life isn't about heroes and villains. I mean, they're there and it is, but it's really about that stuff in between. And I think from the hero side, you see that, and from the villain side, you see that. And it's kind of a thing where you could be watching the show and be like, I don't really care for this character. And then something will happen, and all of a sudden you're empathizing with them in some way. So I think that really roots it for people, and it makes it really strong.
Good point about the world building, and I think this is one thing that manga and anime really excels at, considering there's so many of these Western comics, Marvel, DC, the shared universe thing, which is a great magic in of itself, but that's a big collaborative piece. But usually this one single creator, fleshes out this universe. And really makes it it's so rich, and it goes so well too. And of course, this is a great show because it's a lot of gigs, a lot of great characters for a lot of fine actors.
One of the best testaments is you get to see, even just looking in the crowd here, you can see an Eri, and you can see Mirko, and you can see all these peak, so you get to identify with a character that maybe you don't get to see as much as you would ever want, but they're drawn in such a way that it pulls you in, and that's a great testament, just seeing all the great cosplay for these characters that maybe have screen time for an episode or two, and people will show up and they love this character, And
right.
so that's really cool.
Someone came up to me dressed as the new guy from the movie. And I was
it's an Italian name.
Yeah, Giulio, I think. Giulio.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Giulio.
I got it right.
Thank you.
Wait, doesn't he just look like All Might?
No, that's the bad guy.
Oh.
Yeah, Giulio's the guy with the red hair and the gun. Yeah.
That's his quirk, is he has a gun?
Quirk gun. Yeah.
He's from Texas.
Quirk American.
You're right. Like Genya.
Fritzia, what's been the best thing to come out of this particular gig?
To be sitting on this black couch, wink, wink, with all these fine people. No, it's literally, it was so fun. The first con I ever did was in Iowa, and I had just gotten cast in the show called Silver Guardian. I was the lead character, Soigen Riku. Any Silver Guardian fans? Crickets. And so I was like, oh, well, that's why they're bringing me out for the Silver Guardian. I'm so excited. And oh yeah, I got cast as this like random kind of blonde kid in this new show. I guess I'll bring a print of him too. And yeah, it was just like Denki, nothing but Denki. And I felt
Did you
like
sell any Silver Guardian
I was like,
prints?
maybe like one. But yeah, that's when I was like, oh, what is this?
Right.
And so it's just been it's been the most fun these past handful of years. Of course, something happened between 2020 and 2021 that kind of put a hiccup in everything. I don't remember
I
what
was
that
cast
was.
as Hawks.
Oh yeah, that's what happened. But like getting to just jet set and meet everyone and like being able to like work on an episode, work on anything in especially a creative endeavor, and then a couple weeks later being able to talk to all these fans about what you just did, especially if it's something like you put your heart and soul into, and they're like, my God, like I really loved that and that was so incredible. Like just the great energy exchange of us and you guys like at these things has been incredible.
Yeah, I had been wanting to do anime for a really, really long time, and I really felt like I wasn't given a ton of opportunities where I was from. I was working on other things, but not a ton of anime, and it was really set on my heart, and it was really hard. It was really hard. So I had done some stuff here and there, but the Hawks for me really felt like the first sort of significant anime character I really got to do a lot with. So I think it just like helped me accomplish like a childhood dream, but also just like a very self-affirming artist thing. Like, oh, I can also do this too. Like, there's nothing wrong with me, you know. So I think that's probably, and you know, like getting to like celebrate the show with all of the fans as well has been like a big sort of. What's the word I'm looking for? Like combination of that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's a big like meeting of those two.
Amalgamation?
Amalgamation, something like that. Some Asian word at the
Some
at the
SAT
end.
word.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think it was one of the first roles that I got a chance to do that I would talk, you know, this world that we inhabit as voice actors and voiceover artists is such a interesting little niche of the larger world of performance. And even among other actors that I would meet, I would find myself explaining what I do, and they would just kind of be like, oh, like they don't really get it, you know, if they're not doing it. It's such an interesting little niche. But with my hero, it was the first time that I would start an explanation, and if I would mention my hero, they'd be like, oh, my hero, my hero. And so many people, this has been their first introduction to like the entire genre of anime also. And so getting a chance to talk with, like, I always tell the story of my son was on a baseball team, and there was a guy who was kind of the assistant coach, this really salt-of-the-earth Texan, you know, kind of guy. And he was like, so you're a voice actor. You do voice stuff? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, anything I've heard of? And I threw out a couple things that were like commercials I'd done. He had no idea what I was talking about. But then when I was like, My Hero Academia, he was like, oh, my daughter was, that's the one with Superman? And it's got like there's a Spider-Man guy. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the one. Yeah.
Sure, why
Yeah,
not?
that's the one.
Man, no, like I've had like my mom is now retired. She was an electrical engineer.
Dude, no talking until I get to answer, bro.
Oh, just real quick, because
God.
it jumps on his point.
Jeez, by the time it gets to me, I forgot what the question was.
And she'd be like, hey, my coworker wants your autograph. And it's like he's like some 60-year-old dude like who just works with her. And I just like that's
great.
unique to my hero.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What was the question?
It was what's your favorite ship?
Right. I know that question all too well.
Well, you've been asked plenty of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my hero in general is just a gift, honestly. I mean, that's how I've felt from the beginning, getting to be in the show, getting to travel and talk to people about the show and meet you guys. And then, like, you know, I don't know if you guys realize, but the amount of investment that you have in it, the care that you have about it, it increases something in me, in us. There's like an extra investment that happens when you realize that somebody is really affected by that journey of that character, or they really care about that. And it's I think the single greatest gift you can be given as an actor at the end of the day, and I didn't know this when I started acting, but is to be a part of a show that has, or any type of storytelling that has an impact on people, right? And we've been able to do that for 8 years. So it's beautiful. I mean, and getting to live with a character. We did an interview, Patrick Seitz and Jason Liebrecht and I, who played Dobby in Endeavor. It's online somewhere. You guys should check it out. But it was about episode 157, which is, well, I don't want to spoil it, but it's a really awesome episode. And you can see in that interview, like, how invested we are in the characters. And part of that is the creator and what the world that we're living in, but also it's the fandom, and we feel a responsibility to make sure that what you guys read in the manga, or what you saw in the sub, or whatever it is, or what you're hearing is coming up next, delivers like it should. And it's a cool thing to be a part of, that whole relationship. So yeah.
Well, some of you heard me say this before, but have myself in the audience. Thank you guys for being a part of this. This show really appeals to me because, again, I'm an old school comic book fan, and I'm also an old school anime fan, but I wasn't Moza. But the whole thing is that those fandoms have always been parallel lines. Right. And this is the first show that's made anime fans into superhero fans, and superhero fans into anime fans. And you guys have threaded the needle for the past several years, and it's just been wonderful to behold. And thank you all for participating.
Yeah, thanks for saying that.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for your curiosity. Oh, while I get the line going, let's get the obvious question out of the way. If you could pick your own quirk, what would it be?
You go first, David.
No, I don't have
I always say that I think this is an easy one because I really, as much as I travel, still have not gotten to a point where I feel like I understand airports. Like every new airport I go to, it's usually always the same rules. It's usually always the same sort of planning you need to do, and yet I always feel frantic. I always get to the TSA and I'm like, they're gonna arrest me, you know. And it's always a very stressful time. So I would just love to be able to fly around. I think that'd be amazing, and even better than that, maybe just teleport somewhere, but just not have to go to airports. I think is my answer. Yeah.
My answer is I want the ability to. Just kind of, in the blink of an eye, increase your investment in my opinion.
Yeah. You're so right. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah, so like if I'm having a hard time with someone in some interaction, I can do that, and they'll be like, I understand.
They
yes,
do
right
so.
away.
You're so.
Yeah.
They do. It's on them.
Yeah.
They're wrong.
Yeah, that, or I'd like to be able to throw frustration. So like, if someone, I know, mean, right? I know, it's terrible. I know. Like if someone's having a great day, I'm just be like, and they'll be like,
Jesus! I just got mad all of a sudden.
They stubbed their toe. Man, so after a long day of taking care of kids, and it can be one of those really just days where they're crazy, and you finally get to lay in bed and you want to just turn on the TV, you're like, oh my God. And that's when I would want Inko's quirk, because the remote is always just out of reach. And so just to be able to just bring it to you, so you don't have to get back up. That's what I would want. Levitate small objects towards me.
that, yeah.
I would literally have talk no jutsu as a quirk. Whenever there's bad stuff going on, having a bad day, or I run into a really evil guy, I'm just like, you're doing this because you're lonely, aren't you? Yeah, you need a friend, and then immediately disarm, right? Send me to the government. I'll fix it. I'll fix it.
My favorite part about all that is running into a really evil guy.
Yeah, it happens.
It does.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Hey man, are you having a bad time? And usually, if you ask them, they'll be like, "Don't talk to me," right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, they'll wanna listen.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig
Also
it.
useful at the airport when you go through TSA, like, hey,
Hey,
how's it going? Like,
yeah,
they're
how
like,
you doing?
These aren't
You
You
know
know
what,
what?
just
Go
come on
go on ahead, man.
Yeah.
We won't even search your.
You're
Got
good.
this suitcase of plutonium. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Go on
I don't know. You
through.
talk to me, and I just
You
feel
seem
like I
like
can
you're gonna
trust
do
you.
good things with it.
It's a science experiment, right?
Hi, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Audrey. First of all, thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Just a fun question. If you were to pick a song to represent your personality, what would it be?
Now, their
My-
personality or their character's personality?
Them themselves.
Ooh.
Okay, okay.
Ooh, that's tough,
Ourselves?
man.
I feel like I'm really hungry when the holidays come around, so I'm gonna give you a seasonal answer. Supermassive Black Hole by Muse. This could change. I feel like springtime's gonna come around. That would not be my choice. But right now, I just got through Thanksgiving, and I'm still eating somehow Thanksgiving leftovers, and like I'm loving it, like it's amazing. And so I do feel like a black hole right now.
I need people to not be alarmed by my answer. It's going to sound. I thought about it, and it's going to sound absolutely crazy. But if you heard the song, it's not about that. It's called "Human Sacrifice" by Childish Gambino.
Ooh.
Yeah, Childish Gambino. Childish Gambino song. If you've heard it, I'm not going to sacrifice myself, but I just felt like I had to preface it like it's going to sound crazy, but it's a great song. And I think it expresses a lot of things, how I feel about like life and myself and stuff like that. So it's good. It's a good song. And like spirituality.
Yeah. There's a singer-songwriter. His name's David Ramirez. I love his voice. I actually got to go see him live in a backyard concert series. Anyway, the song's called "Find the Light." It's a beautiful song. It's kind of like what Zeno said. Like it just really, it's almost like a prayer in a way, and it's something you can wish for someone else, or you can ask for it for yourself. Yeah. So it always, it's that for me.
I'm a punk rocker, and I'm too old to start the revolution now. So I'm just waiting for Gen Z to start the revolution, and I'll cheerlead you guys on. But there's a song called "Total Football" by the Parquet Courts, and I'm gonna get the last lyrics of the song tattooed on my arm, and it's "Those who find discomfort in your goals of liberation will be issued no apology." And like, especially right now in my life, like that's something like I live by.
Yes.
So yeah, that one.
Revolutionize, you guys.
Also, "Walk the Dinosaur" by Was Not Was.
I was gonna say all your answers were so serious and good, and mine was just "I'm hungry."
That's equally valid.
Yeah.
You're hungry? What are you hungry for?
hungry.
Hungry for everything. Hungry for life.
Wait, I'm gonna
Pizza.
jump on that question. What was everyone's Spotify Wrapped #1 song?
I don't know.
Oh, I
haven't
don't
done
know
mine
either.
yet.
I'd have to look.
I gotta jump
It
on
was, oh man, it was by this artist called Silo. Dang, I think it was like, I can't think of the title, but it's by Silo. Silo's great. It's a great song. Close Enough? Something like that.
Mine was Rasputin by Mbani.
Oh, nice, nice.
That was a great one to start us off with. Here,
That song?
you get two keys of candy for that.
Why did you listen to that song so much?
I don't know. I don't know. My second one was Blue Daba Dee because of my daughter. Every time we get in the car, she's like, "Blue." And I'm
That
like,
is
"All
a
right."
classic. That is
Yeah.
a classic.
I have a blue house and a blue
Blue
window.
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Ricky, and my question. Okay, so I want to clarify. My question involves the end of My Hero Academia, but not the storyline, okay? Avoiding spoilers.
Oh, okay.
I mean the general end of My Hero.
sure.
So, animes are an interesting situation in which the manga ends first and then the anime does. Now, the manga for My Hero Academia has recently just ended, so that means the anime is soon to follow. I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts and feelings are about that, knowing that this project you've been with for years is going to be ending soon.
It's very bittersweet. I think probably for everybody. You know, it's an incredibly big chunk of our lives and career at this point, and it is like I sort of am just deluding myself on some level because I'm just like, it's not really ending. I don't know. I'm just not facing that yet, I guess, is how I'm coping with it. And I'm also, at the same time, I'm already starting to really feel the gratitude about it too, because it's like something not necessarily that I've taken for granted, but it's just been like, man, I can't wait for the next season. That's been my feeling over and over again. It's like, man, I can't wait to see what happens next. And so there is going to be there's going to be a dark night of the soul for me at some point where it's really going to hit me. But for now, I'm just Delulu and I'm enjoying that. And I'm just going to try to stay as Delulu as I can about it, I guess.
Well, any fairy tale fans in the house? Woo. So as we know, does anime ever actually end? And so they just literally announced, did you see it?
No.
The Vigilantes anime is going to happen officially.
What?
Yep.
No.
No. Who said that?
Who said that?
Source.
Kyle Phillips.
No, it happened. Someone look it up. It did
I'm gonna look it
happen.
up.
They did happen. Yeah.
You're wrong.
Someone in line. Whoever's in line.
Yeah. Someone look it up. It did happen. Though.
Trust but verify.
I'm not tripping because I'm going to be in Horikoshi Sensei's next anime, so I'm not tripping. No, I feel very similar. I feel like it hasn't hit me yet, and there's going to be a point in time where it does hit me. But for now, My Hero is still going strong. I remember at some point being promised 10 years, so we'll see.
It's close. Really close. Really close.
Not for me. They said when I got on, and that was you guys were already 4 years.
Got a ways to go.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, but I'm waiting for My Hero Academia, senior year or pros.
Yeah, yeah.
My Hero Academia Shippuden.
Yeah, I'm in total.
Yeah.
I'm in total denial about it. Like honestly, it's gonna be. I'm in total denial because whenever anyone asks me this question, I go, okay, so here's what I want to happen. It'll end and it'll be great, and then maybe they might do this vigilantes thing, but even if they weren't to do that, or if they do, maybe they'll take a few years off, and then there'll be another thing that comes out. That's what I'm speaking to the universe. Like that's what I want to happen, but ultimately. Yeah, it's a mix between denial, delusion, delulu, and also gratitude of like, well, I could have not been a part of this. That would have, it's been amazing. So I do hope though that like it doesn't just, that the world that they've built, doesn't just
Like go away.
just dissipate and float off. Like I hope that it's back.
Vigilantes.
Did you see they just announced the Todoroki spinoff?
Sure they did. Yeah.
Fire and Ice. The show.
Yeah, we all want to see that childhood, don't we? Let's do that. Yeah. Like
There
a
you go.
Leave It
My
to
question,
Beaver
thank you.
style, that'd be amazing. Where's
Hi.
Dad?
What's your name?
My name is B. First off, I'm so glad that I can finally ask you questions. I have been trying for 2 years to try and ask you questions every year. I've come and been in line, but not been able to. ask
Oh,
you questions.
Let's give it up for patience,
Yeah.
perseverance.
No pressure.
My question was, what character do you relate most to in My Hero?
I mean, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You go.
No.
You go. Rock, paper, scissors.
No, go.
Okay. This is going to be lame, but maybe even a little egotistical. But Colleen did a really good job of casting the show in that I feel like a lot of us are very similar to our characters. Like Denki, the Venn diagram of Kyle and Denki is basically just a circle. We both are just like chill dudes who can get along with everyone and like to play video games, like music, and like MILFs. So.
Although, I have to say, be really careful who you give that answer to and who's on the panel. Because one time I was on a panel with Leah Clark, the voice of Toga, and I gave that answer. I was like, well, actually, Colleen did a good job. And she goes, she did? So Colleen thinks I'm a psychopath who's like murderous and crazy? I was like, oh, never mind. That's not the answer.
The answer, when that happens, you say that she doesn't think that that's who you really are, but that is the vibe you give off.
You just seem like a psycho. That's all. Yeah. I should have had you there. See, you could have used your.
No, Leah, we know you're normal. It's fine, but like when you walk into a room,
Like your
that's-
first impression isn't always sweet person.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with Kyle for the most part. I mean, I think I'm exhausted all the time because I have 3 boys, and so Dad Zawa is incredibly exhausted. I always say, my favorite line, people are like, what's your favorite line of Aizawa? This is the same answer every time I do it, so get ready, here it comes. Here's my favorite line as Aizawa. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes. That's why he got paid the big bucks.
The big bucks.
Yeah, he's like, yeah,
really
big bucks.
big. He's he's a tired dad who's doing his best to like protect his kids. And so at the time of my life, I had 3 small kids, and they were not sleeping when I was needing them to. And so in a way, it was like I just dialed right in, to that aspect of his character. And it was a very, very easy transition. I will say, like, everything that Aizawa's been through, without giving away a lot of spoilers, like, he is constantly coming back to a place of wanting to fulfill his duty as a protector. He's just this incredibly admirable person, and so like he's easy to like. Plus, he's not full of himself, So like he's awesome, but he doesn't care about that, and so I love that too. Like I want him as a friend, like this incredibly awesome, powerful person who is so self-effacing and really doesn't toot his own horn at all. Is like everybody wants that in their life, right? On some level. So it's an easy choice for me.
I think Hawks is way cooler than I am, so I don't know if that can be my answer. Trina Nishimura will disagree with you though, or with me. I don't know. I think Deku's super cool. I feel like he like works really hard at what he does, and he takes what he does really seriously. And I sort of feel the same way. Like I feel like there was like a point in time like where I was like, man, I want to be like all these other people who like do what they do, and like how do I get to be on that level? And his kick game is fire, and so is mine.
And
so.
you cry a lot.
I cried so much, actually, like a lot.
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer. But I've been sitting here thinking about it. Like, I'm so invested in Shoto and his world and his story that whenever I try to think of like, is there another character that I relate to more, or that. And there isn't, and it's probably because it's been 8 years, and like I'm super invested in that. So, he's had such an impact on my life too. So I feel like I would say it's Shoto. For sure.
Fun fact: so Aizawa, I think, is considered the Batman of the show. And Chris, who's your favorite superhero?
Batman and Wolverine.
Those
Those are
Wow,
my 2 faves.
look at that.
Yeah, it was
Batman.
really interesting to get a chance to do my Batman voice, but sleepier. When I went into audition, I was like, I guess it's just Batman, but he's tired and poor. Like he's not a billionaire. Teacher salary. I mean, he's got to be.
Yeah, no, he's not making any money.
So, who do you identify with?
I honestly, there's 2, kind of 3, honestly. Bakugo, obviously. But also Toga and Jiro at the same time. I'm a giant music lover, but I also, for some odd reason, love destruction. I don't know.
Sure.
See, Leah? We have to ask Leah how their relationship with destruction.
Yeah.
Very true.
There you go. Glad you got the opportunity. Great
Yeah,
question.
thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Saj, and my question for you guys, what does it mean personally to be a hero?
Ooh. That's a big question. Thank you, Saj. That's an out-of-the-box kind of question. I like that. What does it mean to be a hero?
I think ultimately being a hero often is attributed to selflessness, right? You are, and I think there's a lot of like good like commentary on that in My Hero, especially these later seasons of there is a big picture. There's a bigger thing than you, this ideal, right? Saving people is more than just like saving them from a burning building. Sometimes it's a conversation. Sometimes it's saving someone from themselves, right? Like that's kind of Deku's whole thing, right? And like I think like if I relate this to Hawks, like Hawks is always like a big picture kind of person, right? He has that sit down with Endeavor, and he's like, "You're number 1 now. That means something, right? You got to do better at just being like. Otherwise, don't speak, and I'll speak for you, or I'll have to force you to say something like inspiring for others, right? Like even in our own like day-to-day lives, right? Who we call heroes are often people who put themselves on the front lines before others, right? Or in service of others, right? I think that's sort of the context. It's like this person is becoming an ideal for something bigger than themselves. They're serving people who are less fortunate or who need it or are in need. And that's sort of kind of my perspective on it. It's always a selflessness. That's why, like, if there's any commentary, any criticism of a public servant, it's because they weren't in service of somebody else, right? They were more self-preservationists, right? So that's like why we dislike that, right? Oftentimes, so most of us do. Some of us.
This may
Ditto.
be this may be another way of it's related, but the word that always comes to me is showing up, like showing up for someone, and that can that can look like many different things. But the people I remember in my life that could be called a hero or are the people that showed up for me in some way, even if it was just to listen or even if it was just to be there. And I think in a way, that's what's amazing about specifically the 1A students. I think all the characters do this, but there's something amazing about how they've bonded and really just shown up for each other. I mean, I think of like the Hosu City fight when Shoto comes, Deku, and they're there for Ida, and they're there in the way that they can be in that given moment. It's not always perfect, and it's not always what you planned, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's that person showed up.
I think even like now that you say that, like even like Deku and Shoto's fight in season 2.
Totally,
he's
dude.
like, nah, like fight me, bro.
They're
like,
giving to each other,
And he's like, you do everything. Like, you remember this is for you, right? Like, not to show him something, right? And I think like that's what like Shoto needed in that moment.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
really cool.
yeah.
I was just gonna say those are great answers.
Great question. Thank you. For me, I always default to Christopher Reeve in his first line when
Yeah.
he saves Lois. He's just like, "Who are you?" He goes, "A friend," and then he just flies away.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your name?
Michael. So for anyone who's looking to enter the industry, whether it's as a voice actor or as a director, is there anything you think that anyone should know entering the industry like that?
Lots of stuff. Yeah, I mean, lots of stuff. I always like to pitch a really good website by D. Bradley Baker called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. I always tell people about it because it's free, and it literally has so much information on it that you could start reading it today and probably not be finished, by the end of the week. It's literally just a really comprehensive look at all the facets of the industry. I always turn people in that direction and say, start there. That's going to answer so many of your questions. And then on top of that, I would say just from a personal, perspective, this is not a race against anybody else. It's really just a race you're running against you yesterday. And so honing that perspective from a very early part of your career will save you from so much heartache, because there's a great deal of rejection. There's a great deal of what feels like a really difficult hill to climb to get to that place where you're doing it consistently. But ultimately, keep those blinders on. Don't look at the lane next to you. You never know what's actually going on in anybody's life, And so you only know that here's what you did yesterday to further yourself, and today you're going to try to do 1% more. And if you can just do that, you are going to put one foot in front of the other, and you'll look up, a couple years later and be like, oh my gosh, like I'm accomplishing all these goals, and like that can absolutely happen for you. Yes.
That's amazing. You summed up the words that consistency, perseverance, doing something every day that you feel like moves you forward in some way, even if it's a small, tiny thing. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and it's not there's no race against anyone else, Yeah.
The only thing I'll add is just like there has to be a certain amount of deep love and devotion for what you do. I think you can do all the research in the world, you can do all of the classes in the world, but if you don't love it, it won't impact you. The love you have for what you do is what's going to keep you taking classes and keep you doing all the research and keep you doing all the things that they've just said. And it'll make it enjoyable and not tedious and not like, it'll make the hill feel easier to climb because you're enjoying the climb instead of the climb being a difficult climb.
The only thing I'll add is just remember that your job as an actor is to audition, not to act. And so you've got to get used to hours and hours of unpaid work doing auditions. And if you're sitting there thinking, to Zeno's point, like, gosh, man, I'm so tired of auditioning, or, no, you might want to think about doing something else. But if you're like, man, that was fun, I hope I get it, but moving on to the next audition, then you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Because you'll do 1,000 auditions and you'll book one thing and you'll be just over the moon that you got that one thing.
And learn to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not to listen everything all the way too. Great fortune in your journey. Hope to be hosting you someday. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're just about out of time, so this will be our last question. I apologize to everyone in line. Hi, what's your name?
MJ, I would like to know, this is kind of weird, or not weird, but when you're doing your everyday lives, do you guys just like text each other in like character and being like, you jerk, you hit me, or I hate you, or just random off the wall crap?
The last one, yes. Random off the wall crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one for sure. Yeah, in my own life, I have had times when I've slid into the quote-unquote Aizawa voice with my kids. That's happened a time or two when it wasn't intended, just because I was feeling, it was a disciplinarian sort of moment, and before I knew it, I was sounding a lot like Aizawa. He's not that far away from, apparently, my angry dad voice. So... but no, I'm not over here texting Kyle and being like, I love sleeping in my sleeping bag or whatever, you know. No, I'm not really doing that. But when we come to cons, like this is kind of our time to interact about this stuff and talk about all this stuff too. So this is like every time I go to a con and I get to hang out with the other voice actors from the show, it's like Christmas because we all just get to soak it in. You know? It's a really cool vibe.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's usually, I kind of the same. Like I don't really talk to like my peers about the show unless like I'm either actively watching it or I know what's gonna happen. Like I'll be like, oh, I kill you in that episode. You know, like that's kind of it. You know, outside of that, not really.
I only text David pictures of people saying his name wrong or spelling his name wrong.
Yeah, true. I did have an interaction with Clifford Chapin, who plays Bakugo, that I thought was really funny. There was an OVA that came out at one point, and it was with the villain was Mr. Smiley, right? Yeah. So Clifford called me on the way to recording it, and he said, "Dude, we have to laugh. What are we gonna do?" Like. We literally had a discussion about, he was like, I don't know how Bakugo like really laughs. And I was like, I don't know how Shoto laughs either. So we were nervous about that. We were like, how the hell are we supposed to laugh? These characters don't laugh. So there's been interactions like that have been fun. But
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how challenging like laughing on command can be. Does everyone know Ian Sinclair?
Yes.
He's the voice of Shoji in the show?
Yeah,
Shoji. And I was directing him. I don't remember what the show was, but he had to laugh on command, and Ian was like sweating, and he was like, "Okay," and like the way he he was like, like he couldn't do it, and I was like, "Just laugh," and that's when I learned that it's a whole challenge. There's been so many actors after that where like, okay, hang on, let me prepare for this. I'm like, what? And but Ian now he can, of course, now he's Brooke in One Piece, and like that's his big thing is his laugh. But it's interesting. Laughing is a challenge.
I can't imagine. I am always so like impressed by Ian. I can't imagine him having difficulty with anything. So this is a
That
really
was the one.
funny story for me.
Ask him about his laugh.
He's such a nice guy, right? He's always talking, and I was like, you can't laugh in the booth. That's the one. That's hilarious.
What's everybody got on their docket that they may be allowed to talk about? Any future projects or anything like that?
Well, me and Leah Clark, the voice of Toga, are about to launch our My Hero Academia podcast.
What?
Yeah, we're starting at episode 1, then we're watching it, and we're watching every episode, and it's going to be fun because because neither of us have seen the show, which I know is a sin, but so from her, she's got the villain perspective, I've got the hero perspective, and we're going through and watching the show. We're going to be, hopefully Christmas morning, we're going to be dropping episode 1, so just keep an eye on my socials.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And any Zenless Zone Zero players? Anyone play?
Are you Zenless?
Yeah. Yeah, see, it's like 5 people. I play in, I think it's 1.2, Lucius. He's like this cool villain who works for David Wald's character.
That is cool.
And yeah, I rarely get to play villains, so when Amber Lee Connors cast me as this guy, she's like, yes!
Yeah.
But I never get to. So he's a cool villain. Check it out.
That is awesome. The only thing I can think of is I have this Kickstarter open for this this web show that I'm doing with another friend. It's their creation called The Comic Shop. It's about these 3 friends who open up an indie comic book store. It's like a workplace comedy. So if you're fans of like The Office or Abbott Elementary, it's kind of got that vibe. I play one of the owners of the store named Keith. He's really funny. He's got this song called Rat City. And I promised everyone that if we get funded, I will personally make the song Rat City. We're about 40% funded, and it ends in a couple weeks, and that's sort of been my main sort of bag right now, is just talking about that. So, yeah.
That sounds awesome.
That's awesome. I saw something on social about that, and I was like, this is a good idea.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. The CEO of Kickstarter really likes it, and he's been posting it and stuff like that.
Nice.
So we're hoping to get funded by the end. But yeah, that's the only thing I can plug. Go check it out.
Just about a month ago, I finally pulled the trigger on something people have been telling me to do for like 10 years, which is I am reading stories to put you to sleep at night. So, so I've always been told that people could just fall asleep listening to my voice. It's like you could read the phone book, Chris. You know, just read a story. It helps me go to sleep. And so I launched a YouTube channel, and literally every week I'm putting out a new reading. I'm reading through Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, which is not the most exciting book in the world.
But that is good to sleep to.
But it's perfect. It's literally like it's 2 or 3 hours of me reading, followed by 6 hours of nothing. It's just black screen, no ads. So literally you just put it on when it's bedtime, and you listen to me read a story to you, and before you know it, you're asleep and you wake up, and you can just rinse and repeat. Every week it's new readings. The channel is called Sleep Summoner. And so just look up Sleep Summoner on YouTube. I've got a Christmas special coming in 2 weeks where I read a bunch of the old, really classic Christmas stories. So go check that out.
This is great.
Check it out.
This is so cool.
Fall asleep to
I
the
don't
best
have
of
anything.
times, the worst of times,
It
and
has-
then wake up to it is a far, far better thing that I go to than I've done before.
That's it. You get Patty's already in this. I love it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I've done a lot of things in the last couple of weeks that I don't have anything to announce.
Can't talk about yet, right?
Yeah.
Dad, I know. It's like everybody's got. It used to be in the old days. Everybody said, "Well, I got this, I got this." And
Yeah.
now everybody's got. No, I can't tell them.
Yeah.
Just if you like video games, I got something to play. But anyway, gentlemen, thank you all for spending this time with us. Thank you for joining us here.